And tonight, an urgent appeal for help from a wife whose husband is being held in Iran. Shi Yuang was arrested in August of 2016. He was doing research for his doctorate's degree. Iran claims he was spying. His wife is pushing for his release to be part of any renegotiations of the Iran nuclear deal.
I fear more and more for his safety, and I would like to ask for help from Mr. President. Mr. President, please help us. Please save our family.
My next guest knows all too well the pain that that woman is going through when you have a loved one who is being held far away from home. In 2012, her son, journalist Jim Foley, was kidnapped in Syria. Nearly 2 years later, he was murdered by ISIS terrorists. His death broadcast for the world to see. In the years since, his family has turned that personal tragedy into a mission to help others like him. Diane Foley, it is great to have you here. There's a picture of your beautiful family, who I know has stuck together in such an important way throughout the course of this. But, you know, it is amazing. There are hundreds of Americans who are in these situations, right?
There are. And in addition, there are hundreds, perhaps even more, detainees who are held by recognized governments. The hostages are more considered taken by non-state actors like terrorist groups, piracy, or criminal.
And what's harder to get help with, detainees or hostages?
Oh, believe me, they're all very difficult, very complex, very complicated. We were very challenged when we were in that situation, Martha. So my heart goes out to the Wang family, to the many other, the Austin Tice, Levinson, Rob Levinson. There are many families who've been waiting a long time.
You know, looking back at your words when Jim was being held and you were turning to the government for some kind of help, you said, I think our efforts to get Jim freed were an annoyance to the United States government. It didn't seem to be in U.S. strategic interest at all.
Well, that was true. I think part of the problem was there was no one whose job it was to help us. You know, our case was on everybody's list, but it was no one's mission to help. So after 6 Americans were killed in 2014 and 2015, the National Counterterrorism Center was charged with doing a review about how our country handles hostages. So I'm happy to report that now things have improved. At least for a certain group of hostages, those that are taken by terrorist or pirate groups or have non-state actors who are captured.
Tell me how it feels different from the Obama administration to the Trump administration, because you started this journey in the Obama administration. Exactly. How has it changed?
Well, the Trump administration seems to consider this much more of a priority. So I'm incredibly hopeful about that. This administration is more willing to actually hear our voice. They've continued all that was established in 2015 after that review. So we now have an interagency fusion cell who help strategize and engage with families so they don't feel totally alone. We have a special envoy office. Unfortunately, the envoy position is still vacant, but it still exists, which is important for the diplomatic efforts. So I applaud the Trump administration.
When you heard that Jim was taken, did you think, oh, well, you know, now a SEAL team's going to sweep in and someone's going to get him out of there?
Well, we realized that was not going to happen pretty quickly, you know. But I was surprised that it was so low a priority. That was the part that was so appalling, really, and I just couldn't believe it. However, the good thing is, after our experience, there was a realization that we had to do better, and I'm so grateful for that.
You and your husband have spoken out so forcefully, and I think you have become such a source of strength to so many people who are going through this. And you talked about Jim's faith and the fact that while he was being held, when most people, I think, would lose their faith, his increased.
Yeah, I'm so grateful for that, Martha, because that gave him a strength to endure and to know that he could make it through, and he had to remember he was loved and remember that we were doing all we could do. So I'm incredibly grateful for that.
And what's your message to families who may have not reached out to anyone, but who are, in the shadows of these hundreds of people?
Well, the Foley Foundation is doing a confidential review. We're inviting any former hostages or detainees or families thereof to contact the Foley Foundation and let us hear their voice. Everything will be kept totally confidential. We just want to see how the Foley Foundation can help more, but also to inform the government of what they're doing right and what other needs there still are, Martha.
It's hard to imagine how frustrating and so much anguish you all endured and people are enduring out there who are going through these. And I give you so much credit for being such a strong beacon.
It's a silent crisis, Martha, so thank you for hearing it.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you so much. All the best to your family.
Thank you for your time.